welcome. Yeah, as you can see, no chocolate. Henry in the back. It's daytime. That means it's a special video. It's a special video that I only record when I reach a certain amount of subscribers, which I just freshly reached. I also have to read one of the another joke SCP now that I think about it. But first, we will read a tale that I don't remember why I have. I really I need to start writing down why I keep certain subgoals active. Like some of them make sense. Like the one with the fantasy world. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense because like we had the SCP that is the paper dragons, origami dragons, and then there was like all notes like about each each fantasy creature in that world. I'm like, that's cool. So that makes sense. Or like if somebody asks me to read something specifically, like 821, because the author asked me, then I'm like, okay, I can do that. But like for example, this one, Introductory Antimemetics. I don't remember why I have that. I can vaguely remember someone in stream telling me like, you should probably check it out. And I was like, okay, sure. But I don't know why. I don't know why I said yes to that. And now I'm here. Now I'm here. I'm gonna read it. I did see that there is an SCP that's like way down the line, but it happens all the time when I have to read certain like crossover experiments that like I just end up seeing an SCP that I have no idea what it is about, and that's in the far future. So I doubt I will remember this one in 5 years. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when I read Introductory Antimemetic, and I was like, that's when it was mentioned. That's not gonna happen. But hey, let's get started in here, shall we? Introductory Antimemetics. Junior researcher Kim's been working for the Foundation for all 4 hours, and he feels pulverized, as if an anvil were dropped on his head in that first introductory lecture. It's lunchtime, and he's found a corner so far back in the cafeteria that nobody bothers him. I have flashbacks. I hate that I was like that. I hate that I was like that as a teenager, as a young teen, where he can chew and swallow non-anomalous food, drink apocalyptically strong coffee, and digest the hard lessons of the morning. On his Foundation-provided phone, he pages fretfully through the few SCP files for which he has clearance. Most of them have to be jokes. That's how they read, like very bad, dark, frightening jokes. No, in the Foundation there's rarely any jokes being done. Kim is one of 11 junior researchers in the new intake. New intake, and the other 10 are sitting in a separate group at a separate table, chatting animatedly to one another. There are some instructors here and there, munching sandwiches. Other than them, the cafeteria, large enough to seat 200 people or more, is deserted. To Kim, that seems odd. Cypher 1 is large. 3 skulking buildings with significant basement space buried casually in the forest of central Colorado. Where is everybody? I actually want to see artist renditions of different sites. Like I want to see like 5 different artists drawing the most, like 5 different sites that were mentioned the most, like site 77 or something like that, and just see how they think it looks like, how each side looks different, how it looks in their art. I would love to see that, but I don't think I'm gonna get that anytime soon. Where is everybody? A man in a gray suit walks into the cafeteria, makes eye contact with Kim, and strides purposefully over. The man's suit is sharp enough to cut. He wears a tie pin and a platinum wristwatch as big as a brick. He looks badly misplaced. Site 41 is a working site. There's training, education, research, development, analysis, and even the containment of a very few safe SCPs going on here. Executives shouldn't ever be here. So what is he? A lost exec trying to find the helipad? Or a researcher or instructor dressing for the job he wants? Not the job he has? Hell of a first day, the man says, holding a hand out. Alistair Gray, with an E. Kim, says Kim. Paul Kim. And good to meet you. What accent is that? If you don't mind me asking. Kim blinks. New York. I'm from New York. I can't do a New York accent. I wish I could. I'm just gonna do I'm gonna do my most botched New York accent. It's gonna be the typical. I'm walking here. I'm from New York. Are you the site director? You seem on edge. Well, that figures, doesn't it? Kim asks. You must know how that intro goes. It's like an atom. I fucking forget the accent. I'm just gonna do some random voice. It's like an atom bomb to the ego. I just had almost everything I know overturned. It turns out I've spent my entire adult life being protected from dangerous knowledge, as if the whole outside world is a ball pit for under sevens. Stepping out of that has been humiliating to start with, and he blinks again. Hey, what do you do here exactly? You didn't answer my question. You didn't answer mine, Gray says. Of course I did, Kim says. I'm from... And then he just stops, his train of thought running off the end of the track into air. It's on the tip of his tongue, the answer to Gray's question, but he can't get the words out. That's weird, he says, shaking his head. At this point, he also noticed that Gray isn't wearing his badge. This could be an honest mistake, albeit an extremely serious one. But surely exes don't get the executive level without being scrupulously correct in everything they do. Who are you? Kim asks again. Your life story was fascinating. What? You spoke 4 languages, Gray tells him. 1 now and soon 0. Too huge an intellect to specialize. Your education was a fusion of biochemistry and comparative literature. You felt as if you'd die if you couldn't find more foreign thoughts to cram into your head. You've been all over the world. Hungry, and every country you ever been to was like landing on another planet. You toy with anthropology, but there's too much world for one human race to ever understand, let alone one human. There's too much human race. We should pare it down. Kim nods. Would you excuse me for just 1 second? He gets up and hurries to another table, to the instructor whom he met earlier that day. When Kim gets closer to her, he feels a kind of staticky sensation building up. He tries to shake her shoulder and succeeds in moving it a little, but it's like reaching through tar. Hey, there's a problem. There's an intruder. I think it might be an SCP. Doc? Look at me. Hello? Hello, Doc? She doesn't react. He tries to gaggle fellow newcomers as well. But they keep chattering and hypothesizing, oblivious to him shouting and clapping in their ears. Hey, people! Sheeple! Listen to me! Oh, no. He looks back. Gray has stood up and started moving towards him, still with that confident smile. And there's definitely something wrong with him now because he's visible through the tables, like an augmented reality holo projection jammed inside Kim's eyeballs. Kim realizes with a stab of fear that he can even see Gray when he blinks. Wow, that's creepy. His eye, even if you close, you can still see him. His eyes closed, but Gray is still there. An apparition in what for all of Kim's life has been totally personal, private darkness. Yeah, to be fair, closing your eyes is probably the most private view of the world. Like, just black, nothing. So having that being intruded is, that's fucked. The only way he can avoid seeing Gray is to turn away. Even then, he feels a radioactive prickling in the back of his eyeballs. Ugh. Kim tries to phone one of the newbies. The phone newbie pocket rings, and other than that, nothing happens. Nobody reacts. That doesn't make sense, Kim says. Do you remember your father? Gray says. I never knew my father, Kim says, edging away. Mom raised me. Gray's wide smile is a fixture. These people loved your perspective. They were going to put you to work on anomalous anti-memes, but they don't remember you exist. You don't exist, Kim says mainly to himself. There aren't any dangerous SCPs on this site. It's a safe site. So either you're not dangerous, or nobody knows you exist. And if nobody knows you exist, then that means you're either brand new or What's an anti-meme? Hell of a first day, Gray says. Are you sentient? Kim asks. You seem on edge, Gray said. Wait a minute, we're back to here. Kim bolts. We're back to the same conversation as before. Kim bolts. He exits the cafeteria, turns a corner, and runs 10 or 11 paces down the corridor to where there's an elevator. He stabs the down button and waits. The elevator door is highly polished, reflective. Kim catches the side of her face in the mirrored surface and nearly falls over with a shock because it's a face he has never seen before and it's apparently his own. Jesus! Oh, no, he babbles. What the hell? What the hell? Gray comes around the corner, still only strolling. Just as the elevator cracks open, Kim dives in and punches the lowest floor, basement level 8. It's instinctive. Although he could rationalize the decision in retrospect, he can't just get in his car and drive. It's better if Gray stays on site than if he sets loose an irrational reality. And to do that, it's better if Kim retreats to the lowest, darkest corner of the site for which he has access, and waits for Gray and unlocks all the doors behind them, and waits to die. That's, honestly, props to him. The fact that, it's the first day for him, and he could, just dash towards the door and just escape via the car. But he's like, no, I can't do that. Because the risk of this being, an anomaly that will just go crazy once it's outside is too high. So he'd rather just go where he's guaranteed to be alone and lock himself with the anomaly and then die so that nobody else gets put in danger. That is respect. Spiegel respects ya. The elevator starts descending and the apparition of Gray, visible through doors and floors, disappears upwards, shrinking with distance and perspective, but still smiling broadly down at Kim. That is creepy. That is creepy. You can see him just yeah, that's right. I'm right behind you. Kim paces in the elevator. I don't remember what my face looks like. It said it had eaten all my secondary languages, but I don't remember learning anything other than English. So it's eating my memories. It's consuming information. I can't contact anybody directly, which means I'm on my own. I'm not trained for this. He hammers his head once again against the elevator wall and stares at his shoes. I don't know that. Well, I've been trained, but I don't remember my training anymore. Well, I've been working here for years, and I only think this is my first day? What if I've been working here for years, and I only think it's my first day? What if I met this thing before? What if everybody on the site has met it multiple times, and nobody remembers? Is that what anti-meme is? Kim remembers the nearly empty cafeteria and miles of totally unoccupied corridors and vacant office and lab space. Maybe it's just not eating my memories. Maybe it eats people whole, removes them completely from history. Maybe it's been haunting the site for years and that's why the site's so empty, because it's nearly finished exterminating us all. I need to get help. I need to warn somebody. How? I can't talk to people. I can't phone them. I should write an SCP. But surely someone's already thought of that. He pulls his phone out. He pulls out the listing, nearly 10,000 SCP entries. 100 of them are tagged Antimemetics alone. Kim clears his mind. Gray with an E. GRE 4739. So here we go. 4739. Object class Keter. Special containment procedures. I'm disregarding the format because time is a factor. If you're reading this, you've already been isolated from the Foundation at large. Attempts to signal for help are futile. You are now inside 4739's gullet after ingestion and prior to digestion. You need to get to lab SO41 B08 053 as soon as possible and continue the research until you find a way to stop or kill Gray before it kills you. Don't read the rest until you're in the elevator. Oh, being in the elevator is part of the requirement. Good to know. Very convenient. At that moment, the elevator stops. At the moment the elevator doors open at basement level 8, Alistair Gray is waiting, still smiling disarmingly. He steps forward. Desperate, Kim hurls his phone over arm at the creature's forehead. It's a solid chunk of metal and it's a dead hit. Gray reels backwards and cracks his skull against the wall. By the time he recovers, Kim is outside, howling away down the left corridor, just echoing fading footsteps on concrete. Also, pretty fucked that like you can see him up there smiling at you, and then like the door opens and he's just down there with you. You're like, dude, could you have at least attempted to walk down the stairs? He probably just fell. 245-degree turns and room 53 is inside. The door at the farthest end. It looks like a submarine bulkhead. Kim spots the keypad from way out. 4 digits. He tries 4739 and it works first time. The bulkhead mechanism takes agonizing seconds to open up. Come on. Do you remember your mother? He hears Gray calling down the corridor. I never knew my parents. I was an orphan. Kim hisses under his breath. For a split second, he wonders what Gray might really mean by that, but he doesn't have time to dwell on it. The bulkhead opens. Kim slides in and pulls it closed behind him, locking the mechanism up again, as if they'll buy him even 1 second. The lab inside is sizable, windowless, of course, and stacked to the ceiling with a jumble of equipment which Kim hardly recognizes. There are pieces of thick shattering glass on the foot. In the corner there's a computer terminal locked. Kim unlocks it and there's the same entry waiting for him. Well, convenient. Description: SCP-4739 is a powerful, slow-acting antimemetic kill agent taking the appearance of a male Caucasian business executive calling itself Alistair Gray. SCP-4739 is attracted to dense clusters of organically stored information. Essentially, extremely knowledgeable, complicated, interesting people. Oh, that sucks. So if you try to learn about the world, learn languages, learn different skills, learn different types of information, this Alistair Gray just goes, I'm gonna eat good tonight. That sucks. So ignorance is bliss in this context is truly bliss. Also, does that mean the more you learn about the SCP Foundation world, and like for example me, if a person like me exists in the SCP Foundation, in the SCP world, and decides to read every single SCP that existed, that's a bunch of knowledge, a bunch of complicated knowledge. So would Alistair Gray look at me and be like, "Do you remember your mother?" I'm like, what? SCP-4739 isolates its victims from the outside world by enveloping them in an antimemetic field, which makes it impossible for the victim or anything done by the victim to be perceived or remembered. So that's why, like, this shaking somebody's shoulder, they either don't realize it, or they realize it but forget it in an instant. SCP-4739 then consumes the victim's memories and knowledge until they become vegetative and die. This process takes between 15 minutes and 2 hours, and is described as being like Alzheimer's disease and fast forward. SCP-4739 is not believed to be sentient, although it imitates the behavior of a sentient being to the extent that it can appear sentient to the inattentive. Is it like, do you remember your mother? Because it acts as if. Kim said, I'm orphaned. So it's almost like it's trying to. It's doing the fortune telling thing of like what's it called? You know, all the psychics who it's like, yeah, your mother died from drowning. It's like, no, she died from falling down the stairs. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to like predict things that could potentially connect to your life. If victims are able to move and act freely, since it is impossible to escape once caught or to signal for help, communication such as written notes, graffiti, and electronic mail to get sent and battery, and persist in reality. Wait. Graffiti and electronic mail to get sent and persist in reality. But SCP-4739 affects spreads with each message, making it impossible for an external observer to perceive the message until such time as SCP-4739 catches them too. That sucks. The SCP entry which you are currently reading is created and maintained by victims of SCP-4739 because it is only visible to victims of SCP-4739. If you are reading this, SCP entry SCP-4739 has caught you. You are now isolated from the Foundation at large and constitute an effective foundation of one. another way to say you're on your own. You have between 15 minutes and 2 hours to reach Site 41, Basement Level 8, Laboratory 053. Familiarize yourself with the existing research and continue this research until you find a way to contain or decommission SCP-4739, or more likely, die. If your field of expertise is not related to antimemetic containment, we sincerely apologize and advise you to start learning fast. SCP-4739 has consumed... I assume those are like because you cannot do the cross line. Can you? Probably not. That's supposed to be 5. So that's 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 70, almost 80. Almost 80 people. 79. Foundation researchers since we started counting on August 3rd, 2013. If you're reading this entry for the first time, please add a mark. We estimate at least 50% of victims never make it as far as this database entry. The true victim count is more than twice this figure. Oh, fuck. Yeah, so like some people have not marked. So there's a chance that it might be close to 160, close to it. But how do I kill it? Wait, sorry, but how do I lost the voice. But how do I kill it? Kim screams. He scrolls and scrolls through the research, which is chaotic and haphazardly arranged because nobody has found the spare seconds to sort it out. There are dozens of course not, 15 to 22 hours. There's not enough time to be like, oh, let me just... There are dozens of separate lines of research contributed in patchwork by a succession of victims, all ending with variation on the same final line. I'm going to try X. If you're reading this, X didn't work and I'm dead, which means approach X is dead end and you have to think of something else. He reads, nobody has succeeded in physically engaging with Gray. Nobody can stall it, evade it, slow it down, reason with it, or redirect it to some other target. Yeah, you cannot dering it or it follows it. You cannot do that. People have tried poisoning their memories with indigestible ideas, drip feeding their memories to Gray to slow him down, replacing their memories faster than Gray can eat them, and force feeding Gray too many memories at once to overfeed him and blow him up. They tried committing suicide by Class A amnestic overdose. None of it worked. More than 100 people, most of them apparently possessing doctorates, have slid into the maw of this thing, fought briefly, and, with a greater or lesser degree of dignity, died. There are no remaining untried threads. I'm fucked, Kim concludes. He glances up. Gray is not in the room yet, but Kim can see him strolling down the last stretch of corridor. He's a totally intangible being. Physical obstructions are irrelevant to him. He can't be hurt. Kim clutches the pocket where he used to keep his phone. Wait a second. Yeah, you hit him with a phone before. He scrolls again. He finds 3 or 4 sad, desperate wretches who died confronting Gray physically. Combat knife and Glock. Baseball bat. Kim looks up and checks the room. Sure enough, the bat's there, rolled under the table. One man, an elderly botanist, fought out of his depths that he was just going to try whatever he could find that was heaviest. That explains the shattered CRT television. And a light layer of thick glass on the floor near the bulkhead. There even was CCTV footage of the botanist's attempt. He accomplishes literally nothing. Gray is a holographic ghost, and the CRT drops right through him, imploding when it hits the floor at Gray's feet. The botanist spends the rest of the video running time huddled in a corner, gradually losing his mind while Gray watches placidly. Difference being, Kim realizes, with his eyes sparkling, if a phone is a solid brick full of information, and before me, nobody tried using information as a missile. Yes, that's really good. That's good. Google. Does it mean laptop technically also works? Just attach a laptop. Just bash him with a laptop. Just get one of those thick gamer laptops and be like, Kim searches for the experiments. Several of them scattered, where the victim tried to divert Gray to a different data source. The general idea seemed to be to overload Gray by pointing him at something containing too much information, the internet, or the terabit feed from a live particle accelerator experiment, or a stack of hard drives containing the first few quadrillion binary digits of pi. But nobody could figure out a way to distract Gray's attention, prominently placed screens full of data. He would ignore He would ignore data beamed at him electromagnetically, radio, laser had no effect, and nobody could figure out a way to tunnel the information in through the victim's mind as extra memories. It was written off as impossible, closed as a line of investigation. Oh, come on. The hard drives Kim finds are right there on the workbench next to the computer. It's a half-rack unit, a cuboidal block of metalwork as big and heavy as a bowling ball, one of the most ineffective conceivable melee weapon. Kim snatches up the 3 longest pieces of Ethernet cable he can find and starts playing them into a chain. Then he remembers who he is and where he is and what his responsibilities are. He goes to the computer, to the SCP entry, adds himself to the victim tally, and writes up exactly what it is he's about to try. Because it might not be the last one, and the world needs to know that this didn't work. Gray comes through the lab bulkhead to find most of the equipment in the room toppled onto the floor. To create a room with the black and silver drive array that Paul Kim is rolling around his head. On a 2-meter chain made of plated network cable, it makes a low thrumming sound as it whirls. Gray is not intelligent enough to stop moving forward and catches the array directly in the side of his head, a rack mount pointed first like a morning star. Gray absorbs a few trillion digits of the impact, but it isn't enough. There's a green snap of light and a noise like a subway train short-circuiting, and Gray's pal in the corner, his head caved in and the drive array partially demolished in pieces around him. Kim decides that history can fill in whatever quip it likes best. It was chewing its way up to the Antimemetics division's hierarchy. Wheeler tells... Oh, that's somebody else. It was chewing its way up to the Antimemetics division hierarchy, Wheeler tells him in the aftermath. It was only a matter of time until it bit down on somebody dangerous. Congratulations on demonstrating a basic level of competence when it counted. Dozens of others couldn't. Kim still feels rattled, but the shock is dissipating faster than he expected. Marion Wheeler, it turns out, is the Antimemetic Division Chief. She is Kim's new boss. Oh, well, I want to say it was dumb luck, Kim says. I want to say that I just threw my phone. It was instinct. It was muscle memory. It was my first day, and I got lucky as hell. I want to say those things, but I'm sitting here and turning those statements over, and none of them would be true, would they? Wheeler waits expectantly and says nothing. You're not my new boss, Kim says. You're just my boss. This is my first day at all. I've been working here for, well, it must be over a decade, right? I think I've been a professional antimemetics researcher since at least the mid-2000s. It's just that the first thing Gray ate was my memories of everything past the first day. And even then, I see very, very little luck in what happened today, Wheeler says. Instinct and muscle memory are just deep forms of training. Like I said, a basic level of competence. An ability to piece your own life and all of your past knowledge back together, faster than nearly anybody else. This is what we try to drill into you. And sometimes, thankfully, it takes. This isn't even the first time we had this conversation, Kim continues. There have been other incidents with other SCPs with amnestic powers. You sat there and watched me put myself back together before. And it hasn't gotten old yet, Wheeler admits, with something which might be approaching a smirk. How long does it usually take for me to recover? A few months, Wheeler says, but if you want the honest truth, people in this division are as competent on day one as they'll ever be. You come to the job firing on all cylinders or not at all. The rest is just fine-tuning and chemistry. So what you're actually saying is you don't care about my mental state and you need me back at work now, Kim says. Wheeler nods. I need an updated SCP entry, just to begin with. I need you to nail down the model for Gray's predatory pattern and exactly how you defeated it. I want you to work out what it did with the bodies, incinerated, disintegrated, or just left them lying around the side and in rotting, perceptually cloaked heaps. I need countermeasures for when it comes back. It's not dead? Wait, Kim says. I think I know this one. It's coming back to me. Ideas don't die. Awesome. That is so cool. I think the anti-meme or the antimemetic group is very underrated for me. As in, like, we don't have enough stories about them, because every time there's a story about them, it's just so interesting. The one that I really enjoyed was the one where, like, everybody forgot a person and they just pretend to be Mark, and that way they were able to like kind of like sneak their way through different like branches in the SCP Foundation, and I thought that was really cool. That was like a very espionage style, and I think that's really cool. So I feel like the Antimemetic group has like the most like interesting stories, because yeah, how do you combat that you forget things, or that a person gets forgotten, or the person you think the person is somebody else, stuff like that. I think it's really it's gonna be hard to keep making good stories about it, but like this is an example of like why I think the Antimemetics is like a very interesting part of the Foundation, especially with like, you know, I forgot what it's called. The thing that they use. Wait, isn't that just also called? I forgot what it's called. I don't know how this happened, but you know, like the thing that they inject you with, so just so you forget with A, B, and C. You know what I mean? Fucking me. Wait, actually, it's said here, right? It's said here that they tried with like Class A amnestics. There we go. Fucking hell, I'm not sure why I couldn't remember amnestics anymore. Like amnestics is like such an interesting part of the SCP Foundation, because like we take it for granted, because I read 2,000, almost 2,400 of these things. So amnestics, you take that for granted for how it works, what it does, but it's such an interesting part of that world that they have a certain type of thing that allows them to make people forget or manipulate the memories of things, right? And depending on how long they've been exposed to, that's the further down the line of amnestics you go, from like A to F, and sometimes to even Z, which is crazy to think about. Like how, like when does Z get used? Because I think I saw like a amnestic W once, and I was like, what? Is that like because I feel like that must be like complete and utter, like the entire body just gets rewritten in a way, you know, like memory wise, maybe even like the soul. So I wonder like what would cause the Foundation to use the far down the line amnestics. But yeah, like I said, it's just very, amnestics is very like, you take it for granted, but it's such an interesting concept. And Antimemetics is also always very interesting to read. But other than that, I think we're done. Yeah. We'll have to read the joke SCP another day, probably tomorrow. But yeah, this was a good time. This was awesome. The Afro is with you all and wishes you all a good morning, afternoon, evening. I see you in the next video. Ciao.